The Return of Cthulhu. Let's talk about it. Today we're going to be talking about quantum computers and entities from another world. So today I want to talk about the CEO of a quantum computer company called D-Wave, Geordie Rose. Now about 2 weeks ago I made a video called Artificial Intelligence and Parallel Worlds, and I talked about Geordie Rose. And years ago Geordie Rose did a presentation on quantum computers, and he stated that we'll be able to use quantum computers to collaborate with parallel worlds. So although what he stated in that presentation sounds incredibly strange, during another presentation in 2017 at Tech Vancouver, Geordie Rose talks about his other company called Kindred, and in that presentation he discusses the transition that will soon take place with regards to advancement in artificial intelligence. But what makes his quantum computer company D-Wave so interesting is it's the only quantum computer that's available for sale. And Geordie Rose stated that using the D-Wave is like communicating with an alien god from another dimension. And according to Geordie Rose, his new company Kindred is working on a human AI that can literally do everything that a human can do, better than the best human. The application is to create robots they can build and sell for 10 to 15% of a human salary. The robot would be able to do everything the human can, but better. His company stated that they have a 25% chance to finish this by 2030 or a 50% chance by 2040. Allegedly, when they finish, the arrival of this technology will be the same as the arrival of a more advanced alien species. He admits that robots aren't going to be humans, they're going to be aliens, that are smarter than humans in ways that are incomprehensible to us. Elon Musk tried to warn him they're not going to be able to control these demons. He goes on to say that these beings they want to summon aren't demons, they're more like the monsters of H.P. Lovecraft, whom are entities that aren't evil, just not aligned with us. Geordie Rose, co-founder of D-Wave and Kindred AI, once publicly stated that he is using quantum computers to summon the great old ones, fictional entities written by H.P. Lovecraft. Artificial intelligence seems to be synchronistically tied to the symbol of the Kraken. Geordie Rose, co-founder of D-Wave and Kindred AI, once publicly stated that he is using quantum computers to summon the great old ones, fictional entities written by H.P. Lovecraft.
Like, when you do this, beware. Because you think, just like the guy in the stories, that when you do this, you're going to put that little guy in a pentagram, and you're going to have your holy water out, and you're going to wave it at the thing, and by God, it's going to do exactly what you say and not one thing more, but it never works out that way. So this is an attitude that some are having, this emerging alarmism about the way this is going to go. But these words, demons, doesn't capture the essence of what's happening here. I don't know if any of you are turn-of-the-century weird fiction fans, but there's this guy named H.P. Lovecraft, who's a very famous American weird fiction author. And he espoused a view which is called cosmicism. And the essence of cosmicism is cosmic indifference. So what he was saying is basically, yes, there are these massively intelligent entities out there, but they're not good, they're not evil. They just don't give a shit about you even in the slightest. The same way that you don't care about an ant is the same way they're not going to care about you. And these things that we're summoning into the world now are not demons, they're not evil, but they're more like the Lovecraftian great old ones. There are entities that are not necessarily going to be aligned with what we want. So this transition is really, really massively important for our entire species to navigate. And going back to that thing that Sam Harris was saying, nobody is paying attention. This thing is happening in the background while people bicker about politics and what's going to be in the healthcare plan in the US. And underneath it all is this rising tsunami that, if we're not careful, is going to wipe us all out. So, on that pleasant note, we're hiring people to try to make something like this happen. Of course, you know, this is a very difficult project, of course, and I'm kind of a little bit tongue-in-cheek about all this, like, you know, how bad things are, because it's not really like that. You know, technology is a double-edged sword. Even something like this, it's agnostic. It depends who wields it. If you want to have a say in how all this goes down, you can't sit on the sidelines.
So for those of you who are unaware who H.P. Lovecraft is, I'm going to give you a brief summary on who this author is. So Howard Phillips Lovecraft was an American writer of weird science fantasy and horror fiction. He's best known for his creation of the Cthulhu mythos. So the Cthulhu mythos is a fictional universe originating in the works of American horror writer H.P. Lovecraft. So yeah, basically H.P. Lovecraft writes fictional novels about entities from another dimension. So yeah, according to Geordie Rose, the CEO of the quantum computer company D-Wave, they are trying to summon H.P. Lovecraft type entities from another realm. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. In theory, spiritual entities are energy, and are energy that can be detected by electronic devices such as the Electronic Voice Phenomena Recorder, the EVP. For one example, proponents of this theory consider EVP to be a form of paranormal manifestation, often found in broadcast transmissions received by televisions and radio sets. In theory, apparatus are veiled with the static and/or background noise emanating from the reception of the signals. Others have expounded on this idea with the theory that certain electronic devices could be portals through which energy beings could pass to and from another dimension into the one we inhabit. And some of these electronic devices could include things like your phone, computer, the television. At first glance, this may seem like an eccentric idea, but there have been many precedences for these ideas for such eminent scientists as Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla. I've mentioned this in previous videos, but in October of 1920, Edison announced that he was working on a new machine that would allow people to talk to the dead. In 1933, an article in Modern Mechanics magazine reported on a secret demonstration in this darkened laboratory. According to the article, the team of scientists spent hours closely watching Edison's demonstration for any signal of contact from beyond. But in this instance, none came. Edison died in October of 1931, having never completed his spirit phone. As was too often the case, this was another of Edison's brilliant ideas that he actually appropriated from Nikola Tesla. In 1899, while working in his Colorado Springs laboratory, Tesla began hearing strange rhythmic sounds on his radio receiver. There were multiple incidences in which Tesla had interpreted what he thought were intelligent signals from space. He believed that the simplest form of communication, such as the interchange of numbers, could represent a form of intelligible transmission from beings from another world. The scientific community rejected this idea, as cosmic radio signals were not even known to exist at the time. The confirmation of the existence of cosmic radiation proved Tesla was actually hearing something. In the early days of analog television signals, a popular form of ghost hunting was to tune the television set to a vacant channel and monitor the static display for any audio or visual apparitions that might indicate some sort of pan-dimensional contact through these haunted TVs. It was later discovered that this static was in fact primarily the electromagnetic cosmic microwave background radiation, the switch from analog to digital television. Television broadcasting signals has resulted in the reception of a higher quality picture and more reliable digital signal than the old analog signal produced, and with the additional effect that the change in signal no longer allows the leftover CMB radiation to appear in the static on the television screen. However, although the static has gone, the phenomena has not gone away. If anything, the proliferation of computers, handheld devices such as iPods or iPhones, as well as television and radio sets, has led to an exponential increase in the particular paranormal manifestation, which has seemed to become intelligently directed and some believe intentionally manipulative and with evil intention. The public awareness of ghosts in the machine only came about in the middle of the 20th century, and then mostly as amusing anecdotes and comical representation of the stories told. With the proliferation of the internet, a new form of chaos magic has been made manifest in the form of the meme. An internet meme is an activity, concept, catchphrase, or a piece of media that gains popularity and spreads rapidly via the internet. Such as with the so-called Momo scare, an internet meme is often helped along by social networking sites and blogs that post and repost popular memes, and in doing so, reinforce the popularity and the power of the memes. Meme magic is a term used to describe the power of sorcery and magic derived from certain internet memes that can transcend the realm of cyberspace and result in real-life consequences. Some have compared it to the occult concept of the egregore. Ready to have your mind blown. We live in a biblical matrix. Now, according to the Bible, we are souls operating a physical body in a physical world that has limitations, where things have a beginning, things have an end. It even says in scripture that the whole earth shall pass away one day. Earth, your physical bodies, all the things you own will all be gone. According to scripture, the real world is the spiritual world. The spiritual world does not end. The spiritual world is the real world. Now, just like the physical world has limitation, so do video games. Once you turn off the video games, the simulation ends right there. The interesting thing about video games is it's made up of a bunch of tiny little pixels. So the images you see in video games are these tiny little pixels. And just like pixels in a video game, our bodies and almost everything except for energy is made up of these tiny little atoms that make up almost everything. The only thing atoms don't make up is energy and conscience. The conscience is metaphysical, aka the soul. There's no place in your body where you can locate the conscience. Even scientists agree. Check out part 2 for more. Biblical Matrix part 2. Go check out part 1 for the full context. In part 1, I basically talk about how the physical world is some type of simulation, according to the Bible, which actually proves the existence of a creator, the architect, of this physical world that our souls operate in. As I was doing research into the Matrix, I stumbled onto an interesting video. And in the comments, a man talks about his near-death experience. This man said that as he was close to death, that the world began to sound digital. Then a bunch of other people began to comment saying the same exact thing. So I did more research and this is what I found. This is a case study done by Sonia Harford about the sounds that people hear on their near-death experience. This article is called Digging Deep for the Sounds of Near-Death Experiences. Alright guys, I'm out of time, so please go check out part 3 for the full story. Even a Biblical Matrix part 3, go check out part 1 and 2 for the full context. Now, as I was doing research into this, I found a very interesting article called Digging Deep for the Sounds of Near-Death Experiences. Basically, it's a case study done by Sonia Harford about the sounds people hear when they have a near-death experience. And the answer may shock you. Many people claim as they have a near-death experience that the world begins to sound digital. Interviewing those who come back from the brink, she recorded 40 different sound stories. Just as we grapple for adjectives to express any profound emotional or artistic experience, her interviewers dug deep to describe to the living what echoed inside their heads. I'd be playing different references on a piano or a synthesizer on the fly. I'd get an idea of an oscillating pattern or harmony that they'd say, yes, yes. I know I've got it right when I play it to them and they begin to cry. Some even had similar sounds experience. There's a digital synthetic sound, that's how a lot of people describe it. Very beautiful, often like a choral sound but with sustained notes. Some said it was melodic, almost like chimes but not like church bells and not religious. It was a cascading pattern, almost like a vibraphone dueling with itself in an endless pattern. What do you guys think?
Alright, we're back with another episode, and let's talk about the seals of Solomon. The Seal of Solomon, known also as the Ring of Solomon, is believed to be a signet ring that belonged to King Solomon of Israel. This ring is thought by some to have magical powers, and it originates in Jewish tradition. Nevertheless, the Seal of Solomon can also be found in later Islamic and Western occultism, as both of these adopted it from Jewish tradition. As a symbol, the Seal of Solomon is still in use today, and one of its simplest depictions is either a pentagram or as a hexagram, the latter being similar to the Star of David. The Seal from God. One source in which the Seal of Solomon is mentioned is the Testament of Solomon. This is a pseudo-epigraphic treatise on the forms and activities of demons and the charms effective against them. It has been claimed that this text was written by Solomon himself and proves accounts of certain experiences that the king had during the building of the temple, Solomon's temple. Around the beginning of the New Testament, the author provides a story to explain how Solomon received a seal from God. In the story, Solomon notices that the young son of his master workman was growing thinner each day. Despite being given double wages and a double supply of food, when the child was questioned, he told the king that a demon had been harassing him every day after sunset. Solomon then apparently prayed to God for help, who answered the king's prayers by sending him a magic signet ring that had an engraving of a pentagram on its seal. And this is one of the verses found in this book. Again, this is not in scripture. This is just a occult book. Take, O Solomon, king, son of David, the gift which the Lord has sent thee, the highest Sabaoth. With it thou shalt lock up all demons of the earth, male and female, and with their help thou shalt build up Jerusalem. But thou must wear the seal of God, and this engraving of the seal of the ring sent thee. Anyway, using this ring, Solomon began to bring demons under his control, beginning with Orinius, the demon who had been tormenting the son of Solomon's master workman. By questioning the demons whom he summoned, Solomon was able to learn their names, how they persecuted human kings, how they could be countered. Additionally, the king was able to make these demons work for him. For example, Solomon commanded the demon Asmodeus to help with the construction of the temple. I mean, if the Testament of Solomon is true, it probably wasn't God, like the story says, that gave him this ring with the seal to make demons do his bidding. It's demonology, divination, sorcery, like this is all against the scriptures in the Bible, and God would not give him such an ability to be able to control demons to do his bidding, like build his temple. But yeah, weird stuff. So these are what some of the seals looked like, and If you take a look at some of these seals, they look kind of familiar, or at least the patterns do. And what I think they sort of look like is circuit boards or microchips. As I mentioned in other videos before, we don't have much information how we got into the digital world. What if technology like AI, artificial intelligence, is just the modern version of demonology? A lot of these circuit boards look very similar to the Seal of Solomon. I found this very interesting meme on Instagram. AI, artificial intelligence equals applied demonology. Boy, I love trapping demons in microscopic silicon megastructures to do my bidding. I sure hope nothing goes wrong. So again, in the pseudographic in the story, King Solomon would trap these demons with these seals and make him do his bidding. What if our technology today, like AI technology, robots, our phones, computers, our keyboards, what if this is basically the same idea? What if AI is actually applied demonology? After all, demons are electrical in nature. And on top of that, the World Wide Web was created at CERN, a facility apparently trying to discover other worlds using a particle accelerator, one of the biggest machines on Earth. All very bizarre stuff, but the veil is getting thinner and thinner day by day. I mean, after all, there's a program that runs the internet known as daemons. A daemon is an early computer slang. In the first computer labs, daemons meant that the programs running in the background doing the invisible work of keeping systems online. The word came from Maxwell's demon, a 19th century thought experiment that imagined a supernatural creature capable of bringing order to the world. This inspired generations of real scientists trying to make daemons real. And I just want to end off this video with the Bible verse. Ephesians 2 verse 2. Wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the powers of the air. Pay attention to that word. According to the prince of the powers of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. The prince of the power of the air is Satan. Why would he say that he's the prince of the power of the air? Well, how does a lot of our technology work concerning AI technology, concerning our phones, our laptops? It works through Wi-Fi and radio signal, and that's how information gets across, right? From news and things being broadcasted. The digital realm. So in my last video, I got a very interesting comment, and it's concerning the topic of the digital world and the spiritual world. And it also brings me back to my video series that I used to do called Hidden Truths Found in Anime. And I've done a whole bunch of videos like the Void Century, the Dark Continent, ideas that came from anime shows which seem to hint to actual hidden truths. And this comment was very interesting because it talks about an interesting anime about the virtual world and the spiritual world. And I'm going to read to you the comment that was sent to me in my last video. Shout out to Zoe for sending me this comment. It was very interesting and it sent me down a little rabbit hole. This comment was very interesting and it aligns with what I've been talking about concerning the spiritual world and the digital world. I noticed you mentioned anime in a lot of your videos. Have you ever seen Serial Experiments Lane? Giving your analysis on links in between the spiritual world and the digital world. If you have not seen it, I think it would pique your interest. It's a very bizarre series about a girl who starts building a supercomputer and merging her spirit with the internet. But her actions causes her to dissolve the border between the digital world and the real world, as she acts like a medium between the two. Thank you for the comment, and this definitely piqued my interest because I started looking into this anime, and I'm going to read to you kind of like a brief summary of the plot. So this anime was created in 1998. It's basically about an adolescent girl who develops a unique connection to a virtual reality network known as the Wired. Lane Iwakura, a junior high school girl, lives in suburban Japan with her middle-class family, consisting of her inexpressive older sister Mika, her emotionally distant mother, and her computer-obsessed father. Lane herself is somewhat awkward, introverted, and socially isolated from most of her school peers. The status quo of her life becomes upturned by a series of bizarre incidents that start to take place after she learns that girls from her school have received an email from a dead student, Chisa Yomura, and she pulls out her old computer in order to check for the same message. Lane finds Chisa telling her via email that she is not dead, but has merely abandoned her physical self and is alive deep within the virtual realm of the Wired itself, where she claims she found God there. From this point, Lane is caught up in a series of cryptic and surreal events that see her delving deeper into the mystery of the network in a narrative that explores themes of consciousness, perception, and the nature of reality. The wired is a virtual realm that contains and supports the very sum of all human communications and networks. The wired is a virtual realm that contains and supports the very sum of all human communications and networks, created with the telegraph, televisions, and telephone services, and expanded with internet and cyberspace, and subsequent networks. The series assumes that the wired should be linked to a system that enables unconscious communication between people and machines without physical interface. The storyline introduces such a system with a Schumann resonance, a property of the Earth's magnetic field that theoretically allows for such unhindered long-distance communication. If such a link were created, the network would become equivalent to reality as the general consensus of all perception and knowledge. The increasingly thin invisible line between what is real and what is virtual digital begins to slowly shatter. So yeah, to kind of sum all this up, it's basically about a girl who builds a supercomputer and merges her spirit with the internet. And then her actions cause her to dissolve the border between the digital world and the real world as she acts like a medium between the two. So yeah, this was very interesting and aligns with my series I've been doing on the digital world and the spiritual world. Now, I mentioned this plenty of times before, but the World Wide Web, the internet, was created at the facility CERN, which happens to house the world's biggest machine. Now, scientists at CERN have admitted that they are looking for other worlds. And there are these videos talking about how CERN is going to or has opened up a portal on July 5th. But what if they opened up a portal a long time ago? We expect it to be something like, what Hollywood shows, like a black hole opening up. What if that portal is the World Wide Web, the internet, that was created at CERN in the late 1980s? And the 90s officially became the start of the digital world. So it's interesting that a facility whose scientists have admitted that they are looking for other worlds happened to create the World Wide Web, WWW. Another interesting little coincidence is that in Hebrew, every letter is equivalent to a number. So the letter W is equivalent to the number 666. Make the connection. WWW is what? Another really interesting and bizarre fact concerning spirituality and technology in the virtual digital world is Steve Jobs, the creator of the company Apple, and the creator of one of the first and most popular smartphone technologies, aka the iPhone, the iPads, the desktops, the iMacs. He credits the invention of his technologies to acid. And as we know, as I've been explaining in my recent videos, partaking in acid opens you up to entities that the Bible forbids you from communicating with. This is what Steve Jobs had to say about LSD. LSD paved the way for personal computing. Before he ran the company that would bring computers to the masses, Steve Jobs was your typical college hippie. In other words, he dropped out, but hung around campuses to get high and score acid. This side of the frame CEO might seem at odds with his future perfectionist, workaholic tendencies. But according to Jobs himself, taking LSD and smoking pot was actually the key. He says it's the key to unlocking his creativity. It would explain those trippy iMac colors at the very least. So yeah, Steve Jobs views his acid experience as one of the most important experiences in his life because he said it's the key to the creation of the company Apple and all the technologies of smartphones and iPads. Now, as the Bible states, there is nothing new under the sun. Everything that's been done in the past is going to happen again and come back full circle. So the technology we use today, right, our iPhones, our smartphones, our computers and laptops, these electronic devices with black screens that is able to tell us any information we want to know with the click of a button. To us, this is just physical technology. But back in the day, they had something called black mirrors or scrying mirrors. All those legends and myths about these magical mirrors which allow you to communicate with entities, which allow you to communicate with other people on different parts of the world and see different parts of the world and get any answer you please, right? Like the story of Snow White, right? The queen. Magic mirror on the wall, tell me this. So yeah, maybe CERN opened up a portal long time ago in 1989 when they created the World Wide Web, WWW.
Artificial intelligence is technology that enables computers and machines to simulate human intelligence and problem-solving capabilities. King Solomon once stated that there is nothing new under the sun. What has been done will be done again. What has existed will exist again. There are many ancient comparative myths found throughout our world concerning the belief that the gods created different forms of artificial intelligence. According to ancient Greek mythology, Hephaestus was known as the god of technology, stonemasonry, crafts, blacksmithing, and all other forms of metalworking. Hephaestus created many self-operating machines, designed to automatically follow a sequence of operations or respond to predetermined instructions. These machines were known as the automatons. One of these automatons was known as Talos, the bronze giant. Talos was commissioned by Zeus, the king of the Greek gods, to protect the island of Crete from invaders. Talos would march around the island 3 times every day and hurled massive boulders at approaching enemy ships. At his core, the bronze giant had a tube running from his head to one of his feet that carried a mysterious life source of the gods, which the ancient Greeks called ichor. Ichor was known as the blood of the Greek gods, an ethereal fluid used by Hephaestus to power some of his machines. This divine mysterious liquid was said to retain the qualities of the immortals. The Argonautica is an ancient text from the 3rd century BC. This ancient writing describes how the sorceress Medea defeated Talos by removing a bolt at his ankle and letting the ichor fluid flow out. The original myth of Pandora, first described in Hesiod's Theogony, is another example of a mythical, artificial being. In his writings, Pandora was seen as an artificial, evil woman built by Hephaestus and sent to Earth on the orders of Zeus to punish humans for discovering fire. Pandora was a kind of AI agent whose sole mission was to infiltrate the human world and unleash her jar of chaos and miseries. In addition to creating the bronze giant Talos and the artificial evil woman Pandora, Hephaestus also made other self-moving objects, including a set of automated servants for his palace that took on the appearance of women but were made out of gold. These automatons were known as the Golden Maidens. The Golden Maidens are mentioned in the Iliad, an ancient Greek epic poem. The Iliad states the following concerning the robotic servants of Hephaestus. Hephaestus left his forge and hobbled on. Handmaids ran to attend their master, all cast in gold, but a match for living, breathing girls. Intelligence fills their heart, voice and strength their frames. From the deathless gods they learned their works of hand. They rushed to support their lord as he went bustling on. The golden tripods were another AI invention of Hephaestus. These robots were described as self-moving cauldrons that move on their own by rolling on wheels, similar to robot vacuum cleaners, self-driving cars, or even R2-D2 from Star Wars. According to the Iliad, Thetis, mother of Achilles, visits the Greek god Hephaestus at his workspace. While there, she marvels at these self-rolling cauldrons, pressing the work on 20 three-legged cauldrons, an array to ring the walls inside his mansion. He'd bolted golden wheels to the legs of each, so all on their own speed. At a nod from him, they could roll to the halls, where the gods convene, then roll right home again, a marvel to behold. In the ancient Greek writings known as the Odyssey, King Aklinos is protected by robot dogs, created by Hephaestus. As depicted in the Odyssey, the robot dogs were made out of gold and silver, fashioned by Hephaestus in his craftsmanship and cunning. If people in ancient Greece could see the robot dogs currently being made by Boston Dynamics, they would boldly assume that these robots are the creation of Hephaestus. In ancient Egyptian legends, statues of deities, mostly made out of stone, metal, or wood, were animated and played a key role in religious ceremonies. In the New Kingdom of Egypt, from the 16th century to the 11th century BC, the ancient Egyptians often consulted these figures for advice. The statues would respond with a movement of the head. The ancient Hindu epics are full of references to artificial intelligence, robots, flying machines, and many other sci-fi sounding technologies. The most detailed account of this is found in the Lokopanati, a complicated compilation of tales from Burma. The story is set in the time of the kings Ajatasattu and Asoka. Ajatasattu, who reigned from 492 to 460 BC, was recognized for commissioning new military inventions, such as powerful catapults and a mechanized war chariot with whirling blades. When Buddha died, Ajatasattu was entrusted with defending his precious remains. The king hid them in an underground chamber near his capital, known in ancient times as Pataliputra, now known as Patna. Traditionally, statues of giant warriors stood on guard near treasures, but in the legend, Ajatasattu's guards were extraordinary. They were robots. In ancient India, automatons or mechanical beings that could move on their own were called Bhuta Vahana Yanta, or spirit movement machines in ancient Sanskrit. According to this account, it was foretold that Ajatasatru's robots would remain on duty until a future king would distribute Buddha's relics throughout the realm. According to ancient Jewish folklore, a golem is an animated anthropomorphic being which is created entirely from inanimate matter. A golem is essentially a creature formed out of a lifeless substance, such as stone or clay, that is brought to life by ritual incantations and sequences of Hebrew letters. In many golem stories, the creature runs amok and the golem itself becomes a chaotic threat to its creator. With all this in mind, the Bible also speaks of a potential artificial intelligence. The book of Revelation mentions an inanimate image that comes to life by the power of Satan, the great dragon. The book of Revelation chapter 13 verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. In the book of Revelation, John, with the divine inspiration of the Holy Spirit, tells his first century audience to calculate the number of the beast, which happens to be the number 666. When you calculate the number of Nero Caesar, it coincidentally adds up to 666, the number of the great beast. Nero Caesar was the first emperor to wage brutal war on the first generation saints. During the times of antiquities, many believed Nero was the great beast. There was also a widespread belief during the first century that Nero would resurrect as a divine entity. This legend was known as Nero Redivivus. Nero also had a colossal statue made in his image, known as the Colossus of Nero. This massive bronze statue of Nero was believed to be constructed between the years of 64 and 68 AD. According to Pliny the Elder, the statue reached 106 Roman feet, which comes out to 30.3 meters or 99 feet in height, though other sources claim it was as much as 121 feet. Today, nothing remains of the Colossus of Nero except for the foundations of the pedestal at its second location near the Colosseum. No historian has an official explanation as to what happened to Nero's bronze statue. Only theories remain. I believe it's quite possible the Colossus of Nero was the image of the beast mentioned in Revelation that was given life and the power to speak and kill anyone that would not worship the image. Just like Hephaestus creating the giant bronze robot Talos and giving it life, the great dragon Satan also gave life to the image of the beast. I hope you guys found this video very fruitful. I believe all these comparative myths of the gods creating artificial intelligence could also possibly explain how the image of the beast was given life.